Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, The Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
Hey y'all.
Hey.
Yep. So I was at dinner the other day talking with some old coworkers because I don't know if I told y'all what I have told y'all, that I'm actually on the job market search now or whatever, and so I'm actually enjoying this process and really taking it in and doing it with intention. But the topic that I came on with at dinner that really interested me was embracing the old, you know? We were talking about all that we had accomplished at the previous job and how everything had ended, and it was like, yeah, you know, if that was me, I would be upset, or if that was me, I would feel this way, or like I would carry like a different type of anger or whatever. And I just remember expressing, I was like, yeah, you know, I thought I would feel that way, but honestly, I'm just in a space of really embracing all that we accomplished and all that we did throughout. And I'm actually really happy to take all of that as a part of my story. So I was like, it kind of switched. This whole process has been interesting because it shifted the way that I'm even processing it and thinking it. Like, as negative as it might sound when you hear how the situation came about, I just feel so open and like, yes, I'm ready for like the next step, and it all feels good, like a good process for me. And so I definitely think that it's a big part of like embracing what I did then, and also embracing that is a part of my story, and taking that with me and like, all right, now let's decide what the next chapter is. And so I just wanted to talk about embracing the old with you guys.
Yeah. As my thinking changes, I feel like the way I look at the old changes, and it's not. I don't view it. It's hard for me to view things in a negative way from my past now, because I feel like it was all part of my story to lead me to right here, right in the seat. And so when I look at it like that, it's hard for me to even look at something and be angry about it, because I needed that to happen to get right here to where I love it. And then I feel like in 10 years, I'm gonna be like, yo, I needed whatever's happening in between that time to get there. And so I feel like when you constantly evolving and growing, I feel like it's hard to look back at that stuff and view it negatively if you view it as, hey, that was all a part of my story to lead me to here.
I agree with you on that, Rodney, because I'll look at it the exact same way. Like, I'm more so now as to where if I look back on my past and my situations and things that I've been through, at one time I did look at it like, dang, man, you know, I wish I would did this differently, or I wish
this ain't happened to me.
Yeah. But for the most part now, I'm in a headspace as to where I'm glad everything happened the way that it happened, because if it didn't, you know, I wouldn't learn what I needed to learn, you know, and that experience happened for a reason for me, you know. So I wouldn't change nothing about it. I wouldn't change nothing.
Y'all know something funny?
What's that?
Reading your Facebook memories.
Oh, yeah.
And I be reading them like, yo, my mind can't even get to thinking like that no more. Like, I don't even, like, you know, like just looking at it and reading some of the stuff I done said on Facebook or whatever. And I'm like, what was I on? Like, what was I thinking?
Where was I at?
Because my mind can't even get to view it that way anymore. And but I can look at it and laugh at it and be like, yo, that's funny, because I don't think like that no more, and I can appreciate that. Yo, look at where I came from, and now look at the way I think. Like, I can't even fathom thinking about that lack, or thinking about all of that stuff, you know, that I may have been typing or whatever at the time, or thinking at the time.
It's even hard for me to even try to get back in that space. You know, I've gotten so far away from it. Even if I had, you know what I'm saying?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Because it's like when I go back and I think about it, I'm like, dang. It's like, and seeing where I'm at now, I can't even feel that feeling no more. I can remember, you know, where I was at and why I was thinking the way I was thinking, but feeling that way, I can't even get that feeling no more because I grew from it.
And that's what I tell Anavette all the time. Like, it's hard for me to get to what I was feeling at that time because my mind don't even think of it. Like, my mind don't even think about it in that way anymore. So it'd be hard for me to say, well, how were you feeling when this happened in your life? And I'm like, I'll be honest with you, I don't even like going there for real. I don't. Not because it hurts me or anything, but because like I don't see no benefit in it. Like, I'm so on like what's in front of me? What do I want now? Like, you know, and evolving that way.
I think that's so key too, because it's actually funny. We just had a moment here earlier, and it was like we were talking about a memory from my childhood, and that's so funny because I remember when I used to think about that and how I used to feel about it, and like it used to be like, oh man, like that was a tough little moment, tough little memory, like, oh, let's not talk about it. But like now, it's just like the funniest thing in the world to me, and it's just so amazing to me to see how as I went through things and grown and as I changed, the way that I interpreted my past changed. And so now that traumatic moment isn't even traumatic, it's literally just a hilarious moment for me and eye-opening one too, because I was able to see so many different people in a different light from that moment on. And so now when I'm able to look back and go like, oh man, like I'm really glad that did happen, because I never would have saw such and such in that way if that doesn't happen like that, and then this wouldn't happen. So it's, oh man, yeah.
It's so interesting for me right in this moment because I have an uncle who, you know, I didn't grow up with him. He lived in another state, and I didn't really know him for that much. You know, I knew of him, but not really knew him. And so he's just recently come, and so he's here with me now. And he had read the book that I wrote in 2017, so he read it like maybe in 2018. But he was kind of traumatized by the section where I had talked about being sexually abused by my dad. And so he just keeps
replaying,
talking about it, and he's just saying, you know, you gotta heal, like you gotta heal from the trauma, and you know this trauma, and you know you're so traumatized, and you know you gotta heal. And I'm saying, Uncle, I'm healed, I'm good. Like, and it's like I can't even feel
that feeling.
Yeah, I don't. It's nothing in me that feels sad or trauma or traumatized by it or whatever. At all. And so like I don't know, I just have to let him work through his stuff, right? But for me, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good, Uncle. And he's just like, you gotta work through it, and you know, you gotta do it from a place of wisdom, and you know, and it's gonna help the whole family heal, and you know, and I'm saying, I don't even see it as a bad thing, Uncle. So I just, you know, I'm just like, you know, this is his thing, so just let him have it or whatever. And I just be like, okay. But there was a time when I would say I was healed, right, from the trauma, but it was still trauma. Like I still registered it as trauma, as a bad thing that happened, that I have accepted, I've grown from, I see the good in it, but it was still trauma. But now I can't even view it as such. Like now I can only see it as, okay, like that really was designed purposely and perfectly to help me to step into me, you know.
And that's so key. And sometimes I even, you know, when you looking back, I even be like, yo, the timing even had to be crazy perfect for that to happen. So that had to be a part of my story that had to, like, that was going to be there. And like, just thinking about it like that, I can appreciate the beauty in my story. Because I'm like, yo, how did all that line up for that to happen? For me to learn this and this to go, you know, so I can like even look back and like, wow, my story is beautiful. Like, and for it to lead all the way to now.
I remember when I took me a year break, right, away from family for a while, just to get myself together and just get my head space right. And when I did it, like, you know, I had some people, you know, sit back, like close cousins, like, man, you know, same as what you were saying with your uncle. You know, hey, I mean, you can still sit back and reach out to us. It's gonna be okay. And yeah, I mean, just giving me like that sort of like things are so bad for me, and like I'm depressed, and you know, I'm just going through so much. And to me, I'm like, I'm not. I mean, I'm just taking me a break because I want to take a break. You know, I'm cool. Like, you know, I'm in an okay space. But I remember one time before that, before I actually did it, I had people, you know, give me that energy, and when they did, I was in the space of like, you know, I really wanted to do it, but I let them sort of talk me into like, all right, let me go and just reach out to them, make sure they are, you know, I had them talk me out of it. But now, nah, nah. So I don't regret nothing though.
I can honestly say I think I feel the same. Right? It's no regrets, honestly, because I do feel like all of it has created a great story and is continuing to create a great story. And it's funny too, because you talked about when you wanted to take a year break. I was just texting Rod and another cousin of ours. I was like, yeah, you know, like it's so interesting, like to be going through this period, because of course, like I feel like, I guess, when you lose a job, most people are worried about you or whatever. Like, so it's so interesting to see all the outpouring of love, like, and like, no, like, we got you. And I was telling Anavette the other day, you know, I really appreciate it. But, you know, sometimes it's like, yeah, but like, do I look down to y'all or something? Like, am I not looking like myself? But then it's like, well, no, I think about what Rodney says all the time, which is, you know, the fact that they are taking the time to do that means so much to me now. And I really find appreciation in that. And so, even now, I walk through knowing that every time somebody is saying anything to me or like really just reaching out and caring, or they're worried, I try and flip their worry into a state of care and support. And so I never interpret the worry as worry. It's always just outgoing support for me now.
So I really do think like embracing the past is just so important. So of course we know that there's a three-dimensional way to deal with the past, which is, you know, going in and digging it up and reflecting and keeping yourself in that same energy, because every time you go back, you're putting yourself back in that same energy, and working through things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you can start seeing the beauty in the past, like literally changing how you view it, seeing that these situations are the things that help you step into who you are, step into your power. Maybe the situation perhaps made you feel powerless, and in the realization that you were powerless, what did you do? You needed to become powerful. You know, so it's like whatever's going on is helping you to move to that next level of yourself. But having said that, I do not believe that in the future you have to subject yourself to hard times in order to get to your expansion. So that's how it was done in the past. You can continue to do it like that. You can continue to think, to say, well, anything that's worth having has got to be hard. You know, if you want it, you got to work for it. Like, you can think like that, or you can think something different, and you can think, you know, okay, like I can learn without going through the through the hard times. I can expand you know, by simply putting my mind on expansion. I can step more into love by simply being more loving. Whatever it is you want more of, just be more of it instead of setting something in your path that you now have to fight to make it, and then say, you know. But you can do it however you want. We get to choose how we want to do these things. So
I think that's so key too, because it's funny. Just the other day, I was having a conversation with my younger brother LJ, and I don't know what we were talking about, but I said something, either I might have said the exact same thing or along the lines of what you just said, and he was like, you know, man, thank you. He's like, because every time I talk to somebody, like, and I say like, hey, I'm not feeling great today, all they want to do is tell me like, all right, we know, spend time and like figure out why that is. And he was like, but like sometimes I don't want to think about the why. I just want to not feel this way. And I was like, yeah, dog. Like I think, don't think about that. Let's put our mind on what we do want to feel instead. Right. And so he came to me the other day in the room. He's like, no, I really appreciate that. And so now I got to tell you, Navid, I really appreciate that.
To piggyback off that, it's like a lot of times I like what he said, with just, you know, I just don't want to feel like this no more. Because a lot of times I would have to think about what I was upset about a couple weeks ago. Like, dang, what was bothering me a couple weeks ago? Like, what was I worried about? Because I can't even remember now. Like, I just knew I wanted to get to feeling good. And then you look back and it's like, I don't even remember what I was going through.
And then I think a lot of times when things happen that don't feel good, we think something went wrong. Like, this wasn't supposed to happen, something went wrong. But like, just realizing nothing has gone wrong. Like, I know it doesn't feel good, so we think it's wrong.
Right.
But the way you think of something, that's the way it is. So like in terms of, like if you're viewing your past from a place of trauma, then one, you're creating that image, that energy of trauma around you, and you're going to feel like that, and then you're going to attract more of that. But two, like if you think of it, even if you, like I always say, even if you can't think of in the moment, like, how is this good for me? If you can just believe that this happened for me, that's the main thing, is the believing that this happened for me. And the more you can believe into that, the more you'll start to see, okay, well, yeah, this did happen for me. And I don't know if I want to say the more or less, but the more you see yourself as a victim of your past, the more situations you're going to set up for yourself to be a victim in the future. So if you start seeing instead of looking at that situation that might have happened, and thinking of it like, you know, this was designed for me to step into my power. If you're thinking about it like that, then you're going to get more situations where you're being powerful versus where you're being a victim.
No, I think that is very important and profound too, because that's something that I've been carrying with me lately, honestly, on Navid. It's always remembering that I do get to decide what every chapter is. And so every time I speak about like anything that like might be perceived as negative in the past life of mine or like by others, like for me now, it's like, no, like I know I'm choosing my adventure, and like I'm excited to know that like, oh, the next step is going to be big, beautiful, and powerful, and I get to decide what it is. So I definitely think that defining your own story and also knowing that you create all that is around you as well, I think was another thing that was important for me too. Was actually that's been a big realization for me lately, is knowing that everything that has been happening I also created. And so now it's like, well, I wouldn't create nothing bad for myself, so I know things about to go ahead and be parlayed perfectly. So yeah, no, thank you guys again for this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And thank you guys for joining us on this conversation. And we look forward to chatting with you again next week. Until then, this is Arvette.
And this is Steven.
Teron.
Right.
Bye, y'all.